Hi everyone, I'm Leah of CJ Drill. If you have ever wanted to learn how to use an air compressor so that you could use air tools, today is your lucky day. I'm going to walk you through how to use this tool, what the different gauges mean, the safety features, okay? I'm going to show you how to set up your line with the fittings that you'll need, the accessories. Then I'm going to show you how to hook up your tools and use them. And I can guarantee you that at the end of this video, you will be 100% comfortable in knowing that you can do it. Let's get started. So what I want to do is I want to give you an overview of the compressor. So no matter what kind of compressor that you purchase, now I have to mention this. This is for a portable compressor. We're not talking about those huge monsters that you park in the corner of your garage and they don't go anywhere. This is for portable. Now this compressor is 21 gallon. This is the tank here. And this tank is what holds the compressed air. This is our motor on top. Now, the way a compressor works is it sucks in air, it compresses it, and it stores it in the tank. So this right here, this is your safety valve. And what it's there for is in the event that the pressure in the tank builds to an unsafe level, it will automatically release the pressure in the tank. Now what I like to do is I just like to test it by pulling it to make certain that it's operational, because you certainly want it working if ever you have an emergency. So I'm just going to pull it and just, there you go. It's operational. I feel comfortable. And this is something you should check maybe once a week. Next is our pressure switch here, and it's important because it's preset at the factory. And if you come around to the front here, you'll see a gauge. And what that gauge is telling you is what the pressure is in the tank. And so what will happen is when we start the compressor up, and we will, okay, the needle will slowly move. And it's preset where it's going to stop at 125 psi's. The compressor will just cut off because this pressure switch tells it to. You wouldn't want it continually to build pressure because, of course, then it would go in the red and that would be a dangerous situation. So it's designed to stop at 125. So as you use your tools, okay, you're using the air, the pressure will slowly start to drop. And then when it gets down to about 95 or 90, the compressor turns on again. And it pumps more air into the tank. And then again, it stops at 125. So as you use it, it depletes, but then it'll build up again. And that's what that pressure switch does. Now we're going to move on to this gauge here. Now, what is this gauge? This gauge tells you what the pressure is in your line, the line going to your tools. It's indicating that pressure. Well, why would you want to have two different pressures? You're probably wondering, right? This is a regulator and it controls the pressure that's going to your tools. So on this tool, it's rated. And it says 90 psi maximum. Now let me show you the brad nailer. And if you come in close, what does it say? It says 120 psi maximum. So there's a big difference, isn't there, between the first tool and the second tool. And all tools are rated differently. Every air tool that you use, it will tell you what is the appropriate pressure. And that's why you have two gauges. One gauge for what's in the tank and one gauge that shows you the pressure going down the line. Okay, so let's continue. This thing here. This is something that's sold separately. You won't get it with your compressor. You're going to have to buy it separately and put it on. And I'm going to show you in this video how to do all this, okay? The filter here, well, what's the reason for it? The compressor is drawing air from the surroundings. And remember we talked about how the air is dirty. Well, here's the other thing about the air. There is a ton of moisture in the air. Not only is the air dirty, but there's water in the air. And so what happens is all that compressed air, once it's compressed, it creates water. And one thing that is bad for your tools, okay, is water. You know, you want to make that minimal, and it is going to clean the air and pull out some of the water that's in the line so it doesn't go directly to your tools. Now, this is what I want to say. This is what I want to say about that. The truth is, you're going to get dirt in the line. That's just the way it is. And you're going to get a little water in the line too, okay? It's just the nature of the tool. So when you use your pneumatic tools, just make certain that you put a little bit of oil in the inlet here. Just a couple drops, and it'll keep your tool lubricated. So just keep that in mind. So this is the quick coupler, okay, and it's attached to your air hose. But what I want you to keep in mind is this doesn't come attached to the hose. You have to put the coupler on. I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to show you how to set up your line. Okay, fittings. Fittings can be very, very confusing. And I'm going to take out all the confusion so that you can set up your hose on your compressor and get going. Start working with your tools, right? Because that's what this is about. What I have learned is you have to have a lot of fittings, so I always keep a lot of fittings on hand. Now the next thing is I want to show you what the various fittings are, because you're going to have to match a few things. Okay, so fittings do not come with the compressor. There's only one fitting that comes with the compressor, and it's what's called the coupler. And this is it. Everything else you're going to have to buy. Now, here's the thing. There are 3 different types of couplers. Well, you're probably saying, well, wait a second, Lee, I'm getting a little confused. You said the coupler comes with the compressor. Well, one coupler comes with the compressor. You're going to need other ones, okay? Now, there are 3 different types of couplers. There's what's called an automotive coupler, and that's what this is. And this automotive coupler fits this automotive plug, and you can tell because it has a square head. This is a plug, this is a plug, and this is a coupler. Now the next coupler is called an industrial, and this coupler fits this plug. And if you notice that this plug here has a narrow band around the middle, where the automotive plug has a very square end. Let's give a demonstration. Let me show you how it fits. Pull down the band and you insert, and that's it. It locks it in place. The same is true for the automotive plug and coupler. It fits the same way. Now if we come to the middle, we have what we call a universal coupler. And the universal coupler will fit the industrial plug, or it will fit the automotive plug. Let me demonstrate. The automotive plug. It's locked, see? What I have is I have the industrial plug. I'm going to insert this as well. And it's locked. These fittings can be found in any hardware store or home improvement store. You can even find these fittings in an automotive store. They'll be marked accordingly. So we're going to set these aside, because what we're going to work with today are industrial. Okay, so I've got it all set up for us, all right? And I'm going to go through each component so you'll know how they all fit together. This is our hose. I've just got a short hose for demonstration purposes, because I didn't want to have 25 feet of hose sitting up on top of the table. So I've gone with a real short hose so that you can see how it all fits together. So this is our hose, and this here is our filter. As I mentioned earlier, our filter, you know, it removes the dirt that's in the line, because you don't want dirt shooting down the line to the tool, and it takes out moisture as well, okay? So how this all fits together is with a series of different fittings. Now, I know that we discussed the coupler and we discussed the plug. That's what these two things are. But then there are other fittings that connect everything together. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to put them together so that you can see how it will work for you at home. All right? Now, imagine this here is the coupler that's on the compressor. Okay, so this is our start point. Now our next component is the industrial plug. Now here's something. It has what's called, this is what they call a male plug. And you can tell a male plug because the threads are on the outside. A female plug has threads on the inside. So let me show you what that looks like. So this is an example of a plug, a female plug. So you can tell that it's an industrial plug because it has the narrow band in the center, but what makes it a female is it has the threads in the inside. So what we want, we're going to set this aside. What we want is a male plug, threads on the outside. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take Teflon tape here and we're going to wrap it around the male threads. Now, why do we do that? Because the Teflon tape seals. It's going to help your tools not to leak, your line not to leak. It gives it a nice airtight fit. So I'm going to wrap it tight. Your Teflon tape right around the threads there. Okay. Okay, so what we have is what's called a female to male adapter. So if I tip it a little bit, you'll see threads on the inside. Remember, threads on the inside mean female and threads on the outside mean male. And what will happen is we will take this plug that we just wrapped in tape and we'll insert it in the female end and tighten it. Before we can screw the plug into the adapter, we have to wrap the male threads, just like we wrap the threads here with Teflon tape. That's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so now we're ready to put all three components together. Okay, the filter, the adapter, the plug. Now you're probably wondering, well, why didn't I just screw the plug in? Well, it's too large an opening, which is why we're using an adapter. Okay, so I'm going to attach the adapter to the filter. Get it nice and snug. Don't over tighten though. I mean, that's what the Teflon tape is there for, to reduce the chance of air leakage. That's good. Now I'm going to take the plug and I'm going to insert the plug into that adapter. And I'm going to do the same thing. Don't over tighten. Okay, we've got one side done. Now it's time to do the other side of the filter. And so we have that same setup, remember, with the male threads and the female threads inside. And so what we have to do is we have to wrap the male threads. Okay, so our next component is the coupler. It's a male coupler because if you notice, the threads are on the outside, and I'm going to wrap these threads now. I've got the two components wrapped, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the male threads into the female end of the adapter. Now I'm going to attach this to the filter. I'm going to put a wrench on that to tighten it up. Okay, so our next component is a female industrial plug, and it's female because again the threads are on the inside. Okay, so we're going to jump right to the hose, and what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the threads of the hose in Teflon tape. So you're probably wondering, are we done yet, Leah? We've got one more fitting, and that's at the end of the hose. Now we have to put a coupler there. I'm going to start by wrapping it in Teflon tape. So the end of our hose, this is the very end of our hose, has been wrapped in, the threads have been wrapped in the Teflon tape. Now we're going to thread the coupler. So now we're set. We're ready just to hook everything up. I'm going to take this over to the compressor and then we're going to go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the filter to the compressor. The filter attached to the compressor, okay? Now it's time to attach the hose. I'm going to attach the plug to the coupler. Now that's attached. Okay, so the last thing we would attach, now if we were using this, naturally we would put oil down the inlet, but we're not using it. This is for just demonstration purposes. And then the last thing that you attach is the tool to the coupler. And there you go. That's it, folks. That's all it takes. Okay, so next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the compressor on. Now, I strongly encourage you, if you purchase a compressor, read the instruction manual thoroughly so you'll know where your switch is to turn on the power to the unit. This red lever here, it signifies the on-off switch, okay? So I've plugged it in, make certain that it's off. Now I'm going to flick the switch and turn the compressor on. It's going to get loud, so what I want you to watch is, because I'm not going to be talking because it's going to be loud, I want you to watch the gauge. It's going to stop at 120 psi. Okay, so it cut off at 120. Now what will happen is, as we use the tools and the air in the tank starts to deplete, it'll come on again and pump it back up to 120. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to match our PSI on our regulator to what the PSI is on the blow tool. Now the blow tool says 90 PSI max. Well, let's get it up to about 80, okay? So I go to the top of the regulator. That's what this is. This is our regulator. I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to slowly start turning the dial to turn up the pressure, because that's going to pressurize the line. Okay, so it's slowly starting to go up. I'm going to raise the pressure even a little bit more. I'm going to turn this dial. If you move up, move the camera up. I'm going to turn the dial just a little bit more. I'm going to turn the dial a little bit more. We're at about 75. And actually, you know what? That's good enough. We just don't want to exceed 90. And now we can go operate the tool. So what I'm going to do here is I'm putting a little oil, just a couple drops, in the inlet right here. That's the inlet. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to show you how to attach, come on in close, how to attach your tool to the coupler, all right? Now what you have to do is you have to pull the sleeve back. See where it moves back a little bit? It's like spring loaded. So what you do is you take your tool. Now it can be a little awkward because it can be a little difficult to pull the collar back and insert the tool, but that's the way it's done. So we're going to pull the collar back, insert the tool, and that's it. It's on there, nice and tight. I like to use this tool for just cleanup, cleaning up the shop floor sawdust. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect the quick coupler from the tool. And what you do is just pull back on that sleeve and then pull the tool out. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to load. Looks like I have a few, so I don't have to load it. Normally, what you would do is you just take your nails, insert them, and then slide the magazine closed. That's it. So now I'm going to just put a couple drops of oil down the inlet there. Trailer has a safety on it, and the only way it's going to discharge is if you push down. See this? Can you see this here? push down on that nose and pull the trigger and it fires. As a rule, I like to hold the tool pointed away from me or anyone, even though it's got that safety mechanism, because you never know. You just never know. So I'm going to hook it up now. I'm going to hook up the brad nailer. I'm going to pull back just like I did on the other one. Now it's on there. It's on there nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. Now let's just try a couple things, okay? This is just a piece of poplar and a piece of pine here. I'm going to nail the two together, okay? So you can see just how quick this thing goes. So it's not attached, correct? And we're just going to shoot a couple nails in. Remember that safety I talked about? Push down on it and then pull the trigger. That's it. Look how quick. Look at how fast it connected to two pieces of wood. It is the speed of this tool that I love using. Now I'm going to hook up the big guns, and that is the framing nailer. Let me show you how that works. This is my 21-degree framing nailer, and these are the nails that go with it. But before we put the nails in, why don't we put a few drops of oil down keep it lubricated, which I have. Now we got to load up the magazine. So let's load the framing nailer with some nails. This setup is a little different than the last one. The magazine has a trigger that you pull back on. I'm going to insert the nails. The trigger, and now it's ready to go. And of course, you don't want to plug in to your air line while you're loading your gun. Make certain that it's disconnected from the air. Now we're ready to hook it up to the air hose. Now again, you know what? It's got a safety on it. It's not going to discharge unless you're pressing in, pressing down on it. It's got a safety guard. Okay? Same setup as the brad nailer. But the thing is this. I don't like to take chances, so I'm going to point that away from myself and anyone else in the room while I hook up my air line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these two 2x4s. Let's do it a little cocked there so you can really see how it's working. Ready? Keep your hands away from the, obviously, keep your hands at a good distance. Pull the trigger. Now, I'll tell you, this thing can be kind of loud, all right? Okay, so I hope that this brief overview shows you just how easy it is to use a compressor, to set it up, and then of course the beauty of it is then it powers a variety of tools once you have your portable compressor set up. I love having a compressor because it's able to do so many different things for me. It's really the workhorse of my garage, and it can be the workhorse of your garage as well. This is Leah saying, you can do this.